This is my audience, and now I'm gonna give you a speech. Imagine living in a world controlled by the government. Imagine everyone starved to death. This is how China was during the 1950s, during the great event of the Great Leap Forward. This is a picture I'm going to show you as a visual aid that can help you throughout my speech. Today I'm going to talk about the cause and effects of the Great Leap Forward. And since I gave you a brief overview of what the Great Leap Forward was, I'm going to go more into depth with the causes and effects of the Great Leap Forward. Mao Zedong was the communist leader of China during the 1950s. And since China was weak during the 1950s because of the Chinese Cultural Revolution, Mao's plan to modernize China was that he wanted to use agricultural methods and he wanted to use agricultural methods to modernize China. According to the book, The Battle for Chinese Past, Mao's and the Cultural Revolution, the Chinese did not like the Soviet Union, so a way to modernize China, one of the sacrifices the Chinese had to make was that all the Chinese from the Chinese that were in China, they had to leave their home, and so their parents had to work, and the children will stay home alone by themselves and basically raise themselves from there. Like I said before, one of Mao's methods to modernize China was through agricultural and industrial output. Mao's first attempt to modernize China through the industrial output was that he wanted the Chinese to make steel, but the thing is that when the Chinese made steel, when the Chinese made steel, he took everything away from them, and he did not pay them for their work, so the Chinese were starving while he was getting all the money in return. And the agricultural output, he planned on was that he was going to use fertilizer to grow this corn, and the Chinese believe that if they believe in the quote, the corn will grow higher if the more you desire. And this leads us to the question, what happened during the Great Leap Forward? And now I'm going to go more in depth with what happened during the event. During the event, it became obvious that Mao was just using the Great Leap Forward to entertain his needs, instead of bringing China up to its best and to its peak. The Great Leap Forward, during the Great Leap Forward, Mao brainwashed the whole Chinese community in believing that he was in it for the good reasons like he was going to better China and make China a better country and a stronger nation. But instead, his good intentions allowed them to. He started off with a good intention, but eventually it was a downfall, which led 50 million to 100 million of Chinese to die during this tragedy. The death rate of this event was 50 million to 100 million. And even though Mao knew that his people were dying, he refuses to give up anything and make any dramatic changes to his plan. And therefore, from there on, China went down from there. According to the book Mao and the Great Famine and the History of China of the Most Devastating Catastrophe, in a way Mao uses a method Mao uses to brainwash the people was that he did not report anything to the media. With this, the people did not know what was going on. The people did not know that all the steel they were making were going into were not going anywhere. They were all going to Mao, and he was using for his own benefits. Furthermore, I'm gonna talk about the result of the Great Leap Forward. The Chinese recognized Mao had been driving them. After the Great Leap Forward had happened, the effects of this was that the Chinese are now at a downfall, and they have no one to rely on. So the only person they had to rely on was the Soviet Union. They relied on the Soviet Union because during that time China was a communist country, and the Soviet Union were also a communist country. Therefore, that was the only partner they could have relied on instead of the United States. According to the book, The Chinese and the Cultural Revolution, Cultural Revolution as History, Mao stepped down in power as a result of the Great Leap Forward, and however, China still remained communist, but is growing to a better nation today, through the United States' help and Soviet Union's help during that time period. In conclusion, Mao was a horrible leader, but thankfully he was replaced later on. And even though the Great Leap Forward was a tragedy, it was an eye-opening event for history and throughout history. Today I talked about how the causes and effects of the Great Leap Forward, and I'm going to sum it all up with the ending of this presentation. And even though China is still a weak country before, was a weak country, is one of the strongest nations in the world today.